Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new wave of Marvel Legends 3 1/4 inch scale figures from Hasbro. Now this is the 4th wave to be released this year in this scale, and this wave includes figures of the Future Imperfect Hulk, known as Maestro, Lady Deadpool, X-23 as Wolverine, Iron Man in his Invincible Iron Man suit, the modern Moon Knight, and Spider UK. Now each of these figures comes packaged in a pretty standardized packaging. You've got the Marvel Legends series logo up at the top, then you have images of each of the characters, and then the figures are clearly displayed on the card backs with the names down below. And then on the back we have images of the figures, brief bios in multiple languages, and then down below it shows you all the figures in the wave. So I'll give you a look at each of the bios real quick. So Maestro Hulk, Lady Deadpool, X-23 Wolverine, Invincible Iron Man, Modern Moon Knight, and Spider UK. Alright, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging. Now this wave is pretty light on accessories. The only figure that has any is the Lady Deadpool. And Lady Deadpool, I believe, is just a reissue of the Lady Deadpool figure that came in that 2013 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive taco truck set. Now I don't have that set to give you a comparison, but I do believe this is the same figure. And just like with that exclusive set, we do also get the little Squirrelpool figure. So you got the little Deadpool mask on the squirrel head, and then he's got the little swords, and the swords are sculpted on there, and the handles are just little soft rubber, so they bend really easy. And then you've got the tail and everything. There's no articulation on this. It's just, you know, a static little figure. But I do like the detailing on it. It's pretty nice. Paint applications are pretty solid for a little tiny figure like this. And then Lady Deadpool also comes with a sword. You've got metallic silver on the blade and then just black on the handle. So not a whole lot in the way of paint detail. A little bit of sculpting detail on the handle, but not too much. And then the sword is done with a pretty hard plastic. And then the figure has a little loop on her chest harness where you can slide the sword in so she can store it on her back. So for the figure itself, this uses an older female mold, so it does have decent articulation. You've got the blonde hair that comes out the back of the skull, and this is done with a soft rubber type material. And you've got a little bit, looks like maybe a little bit of darker yellow mixed in with the lighter yellow there on the hair. And then for the rest of the figure, you've just got the red and the black. She's got this belt piece which is separate, and she's got a silver Deadpool logo on the belt buckle. You've got the little pouches sculpted on there. So again, this pretty much looks like the same figure that was released in that Comic-Con exclusive set. So if you have that one, you know what to expect with this one. So this figure stands just under 4 1/4 inches tall. And then here's a comparison with two older Deadpool figures from the Marvel Universe line. Well, technically the one is from the Wolverine movie line, and then the other one is from the comic book 2-pack that came with Taskmaster. For articulation, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. It's on a ball hinge joint so she can look down good and she can look up really good. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder so she can get her arm out good. Now they did not paint the joints on the shoulders here, so you've got a little bit of red showing where there should be black. She does not have a bicep swivel, but she has a swivel at the elbow and then single hinged elbow so she can bend her elbow about that much. Swivels at the wrist. No hinges on the hands though. Midsection joint, so she's got rotation there at the midsection. She can look back, but she can't really crunch forward. Then she can do the splits only about that much. She can get her leg forward about that much. And she can do her leg out and back. She's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and she has a boot cuff swivel, hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement, and she does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. And I would say that the knee joints do kind of suffer from that gummy joint syndrome, so definitely some soft joints there at the knees. Next, we'll take a look at the Future Imperfect Incredible Hulk, also known as Maestro. And I like this figure. I like the sculpting detail, especially with the head sculpt. I think they've done a nice job of capturing the look of the character with that. I like how the beard is sculpted and the hair on the back of his skull, and then the top of his head is bald. So I like that detailing. He's got this upper armor piece that is actually removable, which I'll show you in a minute. And you've got the neon green in the middle, and then some more neon green down here towards the midsection. The rest of the costume is basically just black. And then he's got these armored gloves on and armored boots on. So I like that detailing overall. And then, like I say, this armor piece, this upper piece is actually removable. You just unhook it in the back here, and then you can just lift it off the figure. So underneath he's just wearing all black. So this figure stands just under 5 inches tall. And here's a comparison with Classic Hulk and the Marvel Now Hulk. And you should note that the boots are the same between these two figures. The Marvel Now Hulk has more paint detail on it. This one is basically plain, but it is the same kind of armored boots that both figures are wearing. For articulation on this one, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. The hair limits some of the movement, but not too much. And it's got a little bit of up and down movement, but not too much. You can get the arm out. Standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder. He's got good rotation. He's got a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. And then he's got swivels at the wrist, no hinges on the hands though. And then he's got a midsection joint, so he's got rotation there. No real crunch. He can look back a little bit there. And then no waist swivel. He can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward good. And he can do his leg back about that much. He's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, so he can bend his knee about that much. And then he's got hinges on the feet, so a little bit of up and down movement because the boots come down over the ankles, so not a whole lot. And a little bit of pivot, but again, it's kind of limited because that armor piece comes down over the ankles. And rotation, the feet do have rotation. And 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Next, we'll look at Spider UK. So this figure has no accessories. What you see is what you get here. And this figure also, unfortunately, has pretty limited articulation. Overall paint applications are pretty decent. The only complaint I have is, again, they did not paint the shoulder joints. So you've got that blue that kind of sticks out there. But otherwise, pretty decent paint applications. You've got the British flag painted on there. And then the rest of the costume is basically just blue. And you've got some line work on the fingers, which looks pretty decent. And then on the back, he's got the spider symbol. This figure stands just a little bit under 4.5 inches tall. Here's a comparison with a couple other UK-based heroes, so Union Jack and Captain Britain. Here's a comparison with various other Spider-Man figures that have been released in the line. So like I said before, this figure does not have a whole lot of articulation, unfortunately. You can turn the head to the left and to the right. Really no up or down movement at all with the head. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint so he can get his arm out good. And he's got good rotation there at the shoulder. No bicep swivel. Single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much, and he does have rotation at the elbow. No wrist articulation at all. No midsection articulation. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits that much. He can get his leg forward pretty good, and he can only do his leg back about that much. No thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, so he can bend his knee about that much, and then hinges on the feet, so he's got up and down movement, and he does have ankle pivot, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. And again, this figure does suffer from the gummy joint syndrome, especially here at the knees. Definitely very soft joints there. Next up, we have the modern Invincible Iron Man armor. And overall, I like the look of this figure. The only thing I don't like about it is they've got this little blade thing that's attached to the right arm, and it's not removable. If this was removable, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it's basically sculpted onto the figure. So that's a little disappointing to me. But otherwise, I do like the look of this figure. You've got the metallic gold, and he's got the blue eyes, and the blue on his arc reactor on his chest. And then for the red, that's got that kind of marbleized red that we often see on Iron Man figures. You've got some detailing here on his hand. So again, overall, I like the overall look of the figure, and I think they've captured the look of this modern armor pretty nicely with the figure. I just don't like this blade thing that they attach to the right arm. And I like the detailing on the underside of the hand. You've got some metallic silver, and then you've got the little circle for the repulsor blast, and you got a little bit of gold trim on the hand as well. This figure stands 4.5 inches exactly. Here's a comparison with Falcon Cap, the modern Lady Thor, and Miles Morales Spider-Man. Here's a comparison with various other Iron Man figures that have been released in the line. So for articulation on Iron Man, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. There's a little bit of down movement. You can't really look up at all. You can pivot the head to the left and the right a bit. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder so he can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation, no bicep swivel, single hinged elbow so he can bend his elbow about that much. He can rotate his elbow, no wrist articulation though. He's got a midsection joint so he's got rotation there. He can pivot to the left and the right there. He can look down a little bit and he can look back pretty good there as well. No waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints so he can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward pretty good and he can do his leg back pretty good as well. No bicep swivel, double jointed knees so he can bend his knee about that much, and then he's got up and down movement with the hinges on the feet, and he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Next up, we'll look at the modern Moon Knight figure, and I like the detailing on this. He's got this kind of white pearl on the chest piece here, and then I like this texturing that they've done on like the hood and the cape. I like the look of that, and the cape and this chest piece are all one piece. So if you pop the head off on this figure, then you can actually remove this if you want, and you've just got black underneath that. And this is done with just kind of a soft rubber type material. And then you got some detailing here with the crescent moons on his wrist and on his hands. And again, you've got that kind of pearl white. And you got some white down here on his midsection. And then again down here on his lower legs and feet. Moon Knight stands a little bit under 4.5 inches tall. And here's a comparison with the classic Moon Knight figure from this line. Articulation again is pretty limited on this figure. You can turn the head to the left and to the right. There's no up or down movement or pivot or anything with the head. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder so he can get his arm out good. He can rotate his arm, but the little crescents that stick out on his chest piece limit it from getting the arm all the way around, so you can really only do it forward and backwards. He does not have a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow so he can bend his elbow about that much. He's got rotation at the elbow and no wrist articulation, no midsection articulation. He can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward good, and he can do his leg, actually I just popped it off the ball joint there, but he can do his leg back about that much. Does not have a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee, and then has pivot or hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and he does have ankle pivot. And again, like with a lot of these figures, you have the soft joints here at the knees, and on this one as well on the ankles, a little bit soft there as well. So the final figure in this wave is X-23 as Wolverine. I think they've done a good job with the head sculpt. I like how the ears on the mask are sculpted. She's got the whited out eyes, good skin tone, and I like how the hair looks coming out the back of the mask. And the hair is done with just a softer rubber type plastic. Then you've just got the yellow and the blue for the tiger stripe outfit. She's got this belt piece, which is a separate piece but glued on the figure, and you got the little X on the belt buckle. She's got the 2 claws on each hand, and these are done with a metallic silver. These are again a softer rubber type material, so they do bend a bit and probably will come out of the packaging a little warped, but you can take a hairdryer if you want to straighten that out. I do have some bleeding of blue through the yellow on her chest here, and again here on her thigh, and a little bit on her boot as well. So that's my only real complaint with this figure. The figure stands, if you count to the tips of her mask, just a little bit over 4 inches, not quite 4 1/4. And here's a comparison with some other Wolverine figures that have been released in this line. For articulation on this one, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and she can look down a little bit, but not too much, and she really can't look up much because of the hair. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder so she can get her arm out good. She's got good rotation, no bicep swivel, has rotation at the elbow, single hinged elbow so can bend her elbow about that much, has rotation at the wrist but no hinges on the hands, has a midsection joint so she's got rotation there, really can't crunch down at all, can look back a little bit there, no waist swivel, legs are attached with ball joints but can only do the splits about that much. She can get her leg forward pretty good, and she can do her leg back about that much. She's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, so good bending at the knees, and then she has a boot cuff swivel and hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and she does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. And again, does have the kind of soft knee joints like we've seen with a lot of these figures. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I like the selection of characters in this wave. My favorite figure in the wave, the most solid figure, I believe, is the Maestro Hulk. The female X-23 Wolverine and the Lady Deadpool are nice figures as well. Lady Deadpool, though, is kind of a repeat if you already have the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version. Iron Man's not a bad figure either. I just don't like that blade thing on his right arm. The Spider UK and the Modern Moon Knight are the most disappointing to me. They're nice looking figures, but the lack of articulation, especially for characters like Spider-Man and Moon Knight, is definitely disappointing to me. So this entire wave, I'm not actually sure what the status is of it. I picked these up off of eBay. I haven't seen them in any physical stores yet, so I don't know if they're actually out at physical stores. And places like Big Bad Toy Store, I don't even think have this wave up for pre-order yet. So again, I'm not really sure what the status is as far as this wave's release. I would say limited at this point, but definitely probably should start seeing a wider release in the coming days and weeks. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.